Warning, warning, everything I say is fucking crazy and should not be reinterpreted or reenacted because you will be either shot or NDAA'd. Warning.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show. This is a special broadcast with a special guest, none other than legendary esoteric researcher and scholar, my good friend Jordan Maxwell. Hello, Jordan. How are you?
Well, I think okay, and we'll find out soon enough.
Great. It's great to have you on. You know, you are like literally like my mentor. You know, I give you so much credit. For imparting just so much wisdom onto me and the audience. It's amazing.
Thank you, and I think you have to give me credit because the bank won't. So.
That's good.
So I thank you for having me on, and always a pleasure. And there's so many things to talk about. One thing I'm not interested really to talk about is politics.
I don't blame you.
I think the only thing I would say in relation to the modern day, because I'm really far more interested in the prehistoric and ancient world and all of the phenomenal, great stuff that's been hidden from us for so long. That's where my real love is in the occult or hidden knowledge that's been hidden for thousands of years, and how it affects us today. But in relation to what's going on today, I'm apolitical. I don't care about politics.
I say the same thing.
Yeah, but having said that, I do think it is at least important enough to clarify a couple of things that's going on in the world for people. If you go to the web, or go to the library, or just go on the web and type in People's Democratic Republic of, People's Democratic Republic of, and it will pop up all kinds of communist countries around the world that have that as their official title. The official title for Cuba is the People's Democratic Republic of Cuba. The actual legal and lawful definition for the title of North Korea is the People's Democratic Republic of North Korea, the People's Democratic Republic of China, the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen, the People's Democratic Republic of Sudan, the People's Democratic Republic of this, the People's Democratic Republic of that. Everywhere you look, type it in on the web, People's Democratic Republic of, and it will show you all the countries around the world that actually start with that title, the People's Democratic Republic of. And each one of those countries you will see is a communist, Marxist-Leninist, Soviet communist country.
Right.
So what I am saying is that today, when you are when you are listening to the news and you hear someone who is referred to in America as a Democrat, understand that the word Democrat simply means old school Soviet Marxist-Leninism. That's what the word Democrat means.
Absolutely.
And so, therefore, when you hear about the Democratic Party, again, that's what China is called, the People's Democratic Republic. Well, that's what we are called. The United States is spreading democracy. Democracy is Marxist-Leninist communism. And you see how well it worked in Russia.
Oh, yeah, it worked very well.
Well, that's why that's why Obama decided to institute the great system of Marxist-Leninist communism in America, because it worked so well in Russia that the people of Russia were overjoyed with no food in the stores, with the gulags and the prisons and the concentration camps and the murder of hundreds of thousands of people, with the tyranny and the fear of of government that worked so well that Obama has decided to bring that ship to America. And so today we have something called the Democratic Party. Just remember, the very word democratic comes from a Greek word demos. D-E-M-O-S or D-E-M-O. Demo.
Sounds like demons.
Well, that's just real close.
Maybe that's why Obama was smelling himself to see if he smelled like sulfur the other day.
So, in my opinion, what we have today in America is a Marxist-Leninist Soviet, old-world Soviet communist system. And I can say that with authority because all you have to do to satisfy yourself of the veracity of what I just said is look at the words that are being used. Look at the symbols that are being used. Look at the concepts that are being expressed. Look at the picture and look at the way the Soviet Union ran. Look at the words of the Soviet communist government. Look at the words they use.
Oh, Jordan, they use the very same KGB style blackmail tactics this Obama administration does.
I know. The same identical words, terms, symbols.
Same thing.
The same identical everything as the Soviet Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist country. The whole damn country. And so nobody seems to have done their homework. Very few people have ever really gone to school to learn how to read.
That's true.
And so therefore, this kind of atrocities can go on in America, and nobody seems to know, like George Carlin said, nobody seems to know, nobody seems to care. And like the old song many years ago, nobody's interested in learning but the teacher.
Well,
and so I've been trying to explain to people that the word democracy means communism. Now let me explain why. Because the Greek word demos, D-E-M-O-S or D-E-M-O, demo, means the people in a democracy. This is why demo simply means a mob. When you get a mob in the street, and they're turning over cars, setting fire to buildings, busting windows in businesses, and they're totally out of control, and the streets, and they're filled with alcohol and drugs and beer, and their sports team lost, so they're turning cars over, busting windows.
Yeah, what doesn't matter. Yeah. All the vagabonds just go out there for what doesn't matter. You're so right.
No, but I'm just saying, when you see a riot in a city, When there's helicopters out, with the lights on, the police are out, the military's out on the street, and there's a riot, we call that a demonstration. Demonstration. Because the demos is showing you what they think. So it's called a demonstration by the Democrats. So a democratic means mob rule, the rule of the mob. And so that's why the Founding Fathers, and anybody who has more than a fourth grade education, which leaves out most of America.
Right.
But if you have an education, if you have gone to school and learned how to read and think, then look up the word democracy, and it will tell you democracy is not the rule of the people, it's mob rule. When you get a mob of 1,000 people in the street, we could say that that's the rule of the people. Yeah, but the people are busting windows and burning and stealing materials and turning cars over.
These aren't people, Jordan. These are scum. And what's worse is the scumbag in the White House, Obama, is so irresponsible. He hasn't even gone on freaking CNN to tell them anything. To stop.
I know, but my point is this. My point is this. That you have to understand the etymology of the words.
Yes.
You've got to understand the etymology of words and terms and the symbols which are used. It's so overwhelmingly obvious to anyone who has studied Marxist-Leninist communism and or Nazism,
yes,
National Socialist German Workers' Party, Nazism, communism, or fascism under Mussolini,
or Catholicism.
The point I'm making is you've got to open your mind and go back to school and get an education and read and think.
Yes.
Because if you don't know how a thing works, you're not going to fix it. And so the America has been operating for, my God, at least 150 years on the ignorance of the human family in America. The American people are the most ignorant, ill-informed, unread, backwards, dim-witted people on the face of the earth.
Unfortunately. That's why these demagogues talk down to the American people like we're idiots. I mean, you see these people.
Well, it's because we are idiots.
Wow.
That's why they talk to us like we're dumb. Because in their eyes, we are dumb. And the way we act in life is like a dog. And so while we're barking at each other and barking at cars and barking all the time and ranting and raving, but nothing gets done.
Yes.
And the reason why is because knowledge is power. And the people have no power because they have no knowledge. In the Bible, it says that the whole idea is wrapped up in the scripture in the Bible that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Which means where there is no vision, and the people will die. Well, that's what's happening. America has no vision. Why? Because you're in the dark. You can't see things in the dark.
Like mushrooms.
So the point I'm making, listen to the important point I'm making here. The country of America is in the dark. They do not understand where laws come from. They do not understand what courts are. They have no concept of what a bank is. They don't know what the police department is. They have no idea what the word sheriff means. They have no conceptual idea of political or sociological world movements. They have no understanding of ancient history. They have no understanding of the way the world has evolved and mutated to what it is today. American people don't even know that most of them don't even know they're alive.
Wow.
So my point being is that if you don't understand the world you live in, if you don't know what the words mean, If you don't understand the symbols and the words and the terms that are being used by the secret societies, then you can't change anything. You're not going to change nothing. You're not going to help nothing. You're just a slave, and you might as well go drink your beer and go back to watch basketball because you're finished.
Absolutely. No,
what does sheriff mean?
Right.
We live next door to a sheriff. What does it mean?
Say it again?
What does the word sheriff mean?
Oh, that goes back to the Arabic term. We could talk about words and terms that we use all the time, you know. And I've just got so many things I want to say about the world we live in.
Right.
But having said all of that, the reason why there's so much unrest today because of what's his face becoming president, Trump becoming president.
That's right.
The reason why. Here is the reason why you're having demonstrations in the streets. It's because the United States of America has been in the hands, the political, sociological, media, television, radio, for many, many years. The United States has been in the hands of Marxist, Leninist, Soviet communists. And because of that, the people have been kept ignorant, ill-informed, dim-witted, on drugs, alcohol, with their ball games and all the other things which keep your mind occupied so that you don't have to read and you don't have to have an education. All you need to know is go do your job, drink the beer, and watch TV, and everything's going to be fine as long as you shut your mouth and stay out of the way.
Right, Joy. Just like they used to tell the kids back in the old days and say, just go play ball. The big adults are doing the research here, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the point I'm making, though, is very important, and that is that the people of America have no power to do anything because they're ignorant. Ignorant of all the problems we have in this country and around the world. If you enumerate all of the problems of wars and violence and drug addiction, alcoholism, rape and criminality and prison.
It's just awful.
All of it. I mean, we could go on for an hour just naming off each and every major problem.
I think there might be hope with Trump, believe it or not, because...
Well, listen, let me finish.
Go ahead.
With all of this bullshit going on, all over the world, the biggest single problem is human ignorance. That's the bottom line at the end of the day on the earth. Human stupidity and ignorance. Unread, ignorant, ill-informed, dim-witted, propagandized humans who have no way in the world of understanding the world they live in, because they don't know where it's come from. They have never been able to figure out how it evolved to get where it is today. They don't know the history of this country or the world. They don't know ancient history. The Americans have no idea of religious history, political history, banking history. They have no idea in America of anything but Paris Hilton and drinking beer. So let me finish. All of this stuff is all because of human ignorance. And the schools are a blasphemy against God and man. I am amazed that we have something called a school, which is so filled with stupidity, ignorance, and planned stupidity. This is why today there are millions of students coming out of grammar school, grade school, high school, today they don't have the education to find their own country on a globe.
They have no idea what being alumni means.
No.
They have no idea. The people are so stupid, Jordan. I agree with you. They have no idea what's on their money. They have no idea what annuit coeptis means. It being our business is a success or a successful corporation, that being the United States, which to me makes perfect sense why they elected a businessman.
Well, I'm just saying that unless and until you are educating yourself to what words mean,
right,
what symbols mean, what the words and terms that are being used around the world, but Americans have no idea about none of it. And so that's why America is in the mess it's in today, and that's why there are riots in the streets, because the people have been educated to understand Marxist-Leninism, which teaches you, Marxist-Leninism teaches you that you don't need to think, because you are in fact a nobody to start with. You only exist in this world to serve the state, to serve the emperor, to serve Caesar Augustus. That's the only reason you were given birth. That's the only reason why you're being fed and being allowed to stay alive, is because you serve your masters. You serve the state. And that's what the Soviet Union taught everyone under it, that you have no rights whatsoever. You have no individuality. You will do whatever the state says you will do. And if you don't like it, you will be arrested and taken away and put a bullet in the back of your head, and you're gone. Because nobody is going to be better than the state. The state will tell you everything you need to know. And so the American way was, no, individuals have a right to think. Individuals have a right to be who they are and do what they want to do and be free. Well, the bottom line is that we have lost America. We've lost our base of economics. We've lost our schools. We've lost our generations. We've lost touch with reality. The only thing left now for us to lose is our minds. So that's why today there's so much drug abuse and alcoholism and violence in the street, and young people and people acting crazy. It's just amazing how bad the public of America really is, how ungrateful, uncouth, ignorant, dim-witted, stupid. It's amazing watching the breakdown of Western civilization. It's the breakdown of Western civilization because the people have no knowledge. They have no understanding of how anything works.
How very, very true. We're speaking with Jordan Maxwell. You're listening to the Bruce Montalvo Show live. Jordan, why don't you tell the listening audience, we have a huge listening audience when you're on. I mean, just the most epic shows when you're on. Why don't you tell them how they can help you out? Maybe give out your PayPal, or let us know how they can find your Jordan Maxwell Research Society.
Yeah, well, I live on donations, and because I don't have any income, and so if you go on my Jordan Maxwell Show, that's my website. There's another website out there called jordanmaxwell.com. That is not mine.
Don't go there. Don't go there, people.
Don't go there. That is not mine.
Those are con artists there, folks.
Yeah. So if you want to contact me and go to my website, it's jordanmaxwellshow.com. And when you go to jordanmaxwellshow.com, go to the button at the top. You will see it says Research Society website, a Research Society. Click on that and join the Research Society. What that is another website. I have two websites, Jordan Maxwell Show, and from there you can go to the Jordan Maxwell Research Society website. What that is a whole different website that is filled with all of my work, all the documents and pictures and articles, audio, video, all the links to everything, all my research, everything's on the Jordan Maxwell Research Society website. So if you want to follow all of my work for over the years, just join. It's only $30 for a lifetime subscription. One-time payment of $30 for a lifetime subscription to all of my work. I'm downloading everything from, as I said, pictures, documents, articles, links, people, all kinds of research materials that people have never heard of before, all kinds of extraordinary stuff of lies, deception, conspiratorial stuff that's been going on in this country and around the world. It's a lot of stuff there, and I've got a lot of stuff on its way. There's only so much you can do each 24 hours, but I got an enormous stuff on the Research Society website now, and there's a lot more coming. I've got about a terabyte, that's 1,000 gigs.
Wow.
That I'm getting ready to put on.
That sounds incredible.
So it's an enormous website of all my research, and I'm not asking like most other websites when you're getting a newsletter or something is $300 or $400 a year or $200 a month or something. Mine is $30 one time, lifetime subscription to all of my research, all of my work that I've been doing for many, many years. So
incredible.
that's that. Now, having said that, there are other subjects that need to be discussed, and that's where my real love is. I have no love for politics. I have no love for the modern day, what's going on in the earth today. I don't care about it. It may sound cold and crass, but I don't care about what's going on in America or in Russia or any place else on the earth.
No, not at all. If you break down the word, Jordan, if you break down politics, politicians is ticks. They're bloodsuckers.
Yeah, and poly means many.
That's right.
So you got many bloodsuckers. Politics.
How true.
Yeah, I know.
And they're all full of shit.
It's a joke. And there'll be a lot of people say, oh, well, Jordan Maxwell said politics means a lot of ticks. No, I said it was a joke. Just like your country is. It's a joke. Just like your state government is. It's a joke.
Oh, it's reality TV now. I mean, officially.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where we are. If you love Obama, then that means you love Marxist-Leninist Soviet communism. And for all the Jews that might be listening,
me,
any and all Jews that might be listening,
we're listening.
Go back and read and watch what happened to the Jews in Russia.
Yeah.
And then get ready, because that's what's going to happen to you in America.
Oh, yeah.
Because America is the new Soviet Union. And that's why you have such an incredible backlash against Trump. Because he's not a Soviet Marxist communist. And he understands it. And that's why the Marxist, Leninist, Soviet communist, dimwit morons in this country are really pissed.
Idiots.
Because it doesn't look like they're going to get their free lunch and their free guns and their free this and free that. All of that stuff is over. The American people have just about had enough. So.
They don't want guns. They want to take those away.
Yeah. Well, when guns are outlawed, only outlaws will have the guns. So
that's right.
The point I'm making. But look at. I think I've talked enough now. I think I've gone enough into politics just to tell you, democracy is communism. Marxist-Leninist People's Democracy. The People's Democratic Republic of China.
That's right.
People's Democratic Republic of Cuba. People's Democratic Republic of North Korea. People's Democratic Republic. So when you hear Obama and all the other Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist agents operating in America, when you hear them talking about democracy, just understand they're talking about Marxist-Leninist Soviet communism.
Well, I tell you, Jordan, Obama ain't going to be talking about communism for long because he's going to get a boot in his ass pretty soon.
Well, I'm not endorsing anything like that. All I'm saying is to educate the people to what the words mean. Hillary talked about the need for re-educational schools in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, re-educational schools is what happened in Soviet Union. So go back and to get a book and read about re-educational schools in the Soviet Union. What did that mean in the Soviet Union when you were sent to a re-educational school? Because that's what Hillary has in mind for America, to send everyone to a re-educational school. Understand what that word means. You think it's like a school. No, re-educational schools. Look in the encyclopedia on the Soviet communism or Chinese communism or Marxist-Leninism or Cuban communism, where they talk about the re-educational schools. And then you will finally understand what Hillary is talking about when she uses the terms re-educational schools. Go back and read what the Soviet Union did with re-educational schools.
Right.
What they did is anyone who would not go along with the Soviet Marxist Communist New World Order, anyone in Russia who would not go along with it, anyone in China who would not go along with Mao, anyone in Cuba who would not go along with Fidel, anyone in any country, in any communist country that would not go along with the government, they were sent to re-educational schools. And those re-educational schools, I've read for hours about the re-educational schools in communist countries, where they would take you, if you were a dissident, and they take you to toilets and let everyone else go to the toilet first, and then they would stick your head in it.
Oh my God.
Stick your head down into, and back and forth, sticking your head into the toilet that everybody else has already used. And that was teaching you a lesson. And eventually you're going to gasp for breath with stuff all over your face, and you're going to give up. And when you give up, now you're going to be a good communist, or we'll whip your ass. You want to go back into the toilet again and put your head back into the toilet? No. Then you say to us today that you are supporting the government and the New World Order, or your head goes back into the toilet, and if you don't do it quickly, we might cut your head off. That's a re-educational school. Go back and do some homework and find out who Hillary Clinton really is. Find out what's really going on in Washington, D.C. You have no idea in the world how far gone America really is. So that's all I'm going to say. Go back and watch your television and drink your beer and watch the end of the world coming real goddamn soon on America, because we have an ignorant, ill-informed, unread public who hasn't the faintest idea in the world what the words really mean. So I've been looking at this stuff for 60 years, and that's my opinion.
How true.
I wouldn't know because I'm just an ordinary man, but I'm not stupid. And for 60 years before you were born, for 60 years I have looked at this subject of Marxist-Leninism, Soviet communism, Nazism, National Socialist Workers' Party, fascism, Catholicism. I've been doing this kind of study all my life. So I know what's going on. I know how this tune is being played. But I also know that unfortunately the American people have no idea in the world what I'm talking about. Well, just sit around and watch. Just continue to drink your beer and love Obama and dance in the streets for Hillary. And one day your ass is going to wake up and find out you have lost, period. No more freedom, no more liberties, no more justice. Now you're going to live under a Soviet Marxist-Leninist communist state. And that's where we are today. That's where we are today. We are a full-blown Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist state with gulags, with all kinds of prisons. It's an incredible story of the betrayal of a great nation. And the people of America have no idea in the world what I'm talking about. But just stick around and stay healthy, and you're going to find out what's coming down in America you don't want to know. It's going to be horrible.
Wow. Unbelievable. Well, Jordan.
It is going to be horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
just stick around and watch this company.
That's the topic of politics that is so hideous, like a nightmare waiting to be unleashed upon America.
It's very difficult to talk to people, especially for me.
Yes.
Because I have to, the problem I have in talking to audiences, I've got to try and bring everybody up to speed.
Yes.
On something I've been looking at for 60 years, while my audience hasn't looked at it for 60 minutes. And therefore, I have to, people are going to hear me saying things which they've never heard before and which they're never going to hear from anyone but me. And therefore, the problem they're facing is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance means when you hear something that you've never heard before, and it is absolutely, totally opposite of anything you've ever heard before, then you know in your mind it's total bullshit, because you've never heard such outrageous nonsense in your life. And therefore, and the idea being is that you obviously, not you, but I'm talking to the whole world, people who hear me are going to think to themselves, I've never heard such outrageous stupidity in all my life. Why? Because the audience will think to themselves, I am the most highly intelligent and most brilliant mind intellectually that has ever existed in our universe. I am the most intelligent person on the earth. And I've never heard any of this stuff that Jordan Maxwell is talking about. So therefore, it would follow that what Jordan is talking about is bullshit, because I have never heard it. And I am obviously one of the most brilliant people that's ever existed on the earth, and I've never heard it. And so that's why people are going to hear what I say and think it's lunacy, because they've never heard it, never realizing for a moment you've never heard it, because you're not supposed to hear it.
That's right.
You're not supposed to know the truth. You're supposed to do what you've always done, nothing. Just drink your beer, watch your ball game, and let the church take care of your spiritual life. Let the government take care of your political life. Let the bank take care of your paycheck. And you just shut your mouth and go along to get along, or you're going to get whacked and thrown into prison, because you're not in conformity. You're not conforming to the new order.
That's right.
So I'm just saying, I'm an old man. I've been around the world many times. I know bullshit when I see it. I know what Marxist-Leninism is when I hear it and see it. I know what's going on in Washington, D.C. I understand why we have a white house. It's not brown or purple or blue or black house. It's a white house. I understand why. Once you start getting into words and terms and symbols and spend 60 years studying it day and night, then you will begin to faintly begin to see the American people, along with the whole world, is in very big trouble, because we don't even hold a candle to what's really going on this earth, period. I'm telling you, the American people are in serious trouble.
Where are we supposed to go, Jordan?
I would suggest leaving the planet.
Well, like Pakal did, right?
Yeah. Wherever you can go, just leave the planet.
Wow.
Because I could give you at least 20 different reasons why the world is coming to an end. First of all, right off the bat, going out the gate, you have hundreds of millions of people in this country called North America, who collectively, you collect them all up together, they got an IQ of 40. They don't understand anything. They don't read anything. They don't know anything. They've been drugged. And that's why you have gangs. You have motorcycle gangs. You have biker gangs. You have street gangs. You have drive-by killing, the drive-by shooting. The young people have no basis for understanding anything. All they know is they're hungry. They like to reproduce. sex, drugs, rock and roll, music, while the masters who run this world behind the scenes are manipulating, exploiting, raping, and plundering the poor, the ignorant, and the ill-informed. Well, that's the way life is today. And so I already understand what's going on. So I know when I hear bullshit, I know what it is.
No, that's
I've studied
right. You could call bullshit right away.
Yeah. Well, it's only because I grew up in it. I know what the words mean.
That's
so
right.
When I hear Obama or Bush or any of the other the people talking about words and terms and using words and terms, I know what those words really mean. So when you hear people talking about peace, you need to understand what the word peace means. It doesn't mean what you think it means. It's like going to court. When you go into a federal court, you need to keep your mouth shut. You need to have a lawyer speak for you. Why? Because you don't know anything about what's going on in a federal court. So you need to keep your mouth shut, because you open your mouth and say something, you think you understand what the word means, but in the court, it's called legalese, not English. It's called legalese. And if you don't understand the words that you're using, you can go to prison.
That's right.
Answering the question of the judge in the way that you think the word means and what you think what you're saying. But in point of fact, he's asking you something, and only an attorney would know how to answer that correctly in a court. Now, out on the street, you can use the language with all the other ignorant people out there, and they know what you mean. But in a court, you better watch your mouth and what you say, because you can go to prison for saying the wrong thing. That's why you have to hire an attorney and a lawyer to speak for you.
That's right. It's very few people, Jordan, are knowledgeable enough to go pro per or defend themselves. I mean, most people are just clueless.
I wouldn't.
I did.
I've been studying it for 60 years, and I wouldn't even consider going into a court without an attorney.
Right.
I wouldn't even consider such a thing. Why? Because I understand the system. I understand how it works.
You lose, they win.
Period. So the point I'm making is education is very important. Knowledge is very important. And the people have no education and no knowledge. And the only people in America who are really very, very bright and really very intelligent are the criminals who run the American government. The criminals who are running the underworld, the operation, the mafia, the murder for hire, all of the filthiest, dirtiest criminality that we call America. Those are the people today in government. Those are the people who are really bright. They're highly intelligent, well-educated, very bright, and therefore, to be a criminal, you have to be brighter than your mark. The person you're going to rip off is a poor, working-class nobody who has no education. And if you are smart and clever and wise and dress well and speak well, you can rip people off coming and going, and they'll never know how it happened.
That's true.
Why? Because you look very important. You're the Secretary of State. You're very important. And then later on you find out they are nothing but criminals. Bloodshed,
occultists,
dirty, filthy, selling children for sex, buying and selling drugs around the world, and protecting all kinds of nefarious, filthy, dirty crimes. But they do look good.
Right.
And they do look impressive. And so do the mafia dons and the mafia bosses. They look good. $500 mohair suits, well groomed. So you better understand the people who are in power in this country and around the world are criminals. Period. Criminals. And therefore, if you're expecting anything from a criminal government, then you're ignorant and ill-informed and stupid. You need to go back to school, because nothing in this country is legitimate. It's all criminality.
Absolutely.
And my
true.
God, all you got to do is just look around. All this nonsensical crap that the Communist Party puts out, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, when did the Black Lives Matter in Russia? When? When did Black Lives mean anything in Communist China? When did Black Lives mean anything in Communist Cuba? Black lives have never meant anything anywhere in any communist
Or in
country.
Libya, where they were killing them and throwing them in mass graves.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So
Absolutely.
America offered the last and final hope for mankind, for freedom, liberty, and justice, and honor. Doesn't matter about how many problems America has had in the past.